Hello, beautiful souls. What if the spiritual depth we yearn for, the key to life's deepest mysteries, isn't in faraway places or grand philosophies, but right here within us, connecting us intimately to each other and the universe? In this 9th video of my Wheel of Wisdom series on depth, I want to share my journey into understanding what depth truly means. This exploration isn't just a lofty idea. It's an experience woven into both the profound and ordinary moments of life. I've realized that depth isn't something we master or achieve. It's a way of seeing, experiencing, and connecting genuinely and honestly with ourselves and each other. At its heart, spiritual depth is the understanding that we are all one, bound to each other and the universe through an invisible yet powerful thread. My journey to Spiritfractals started with a deeper dive into healing and helping people at the level of the soul. As a master alignment practitioner, I'd guide clients back to their source of their soul's biggest wounding. This is the wounding that they had often carried across lifetimes. My job was to help them release these old patterns and break free from the cycles of suffering that kept showing up in their lives, like a story that hadn't fully resolved. But along the way, something unexpected began to happen. In the middle of sessions, vivid images would appear in my mind's eye. Intricate shapes, colors, and patterns. These images felt like maps of the soul, each one alive with movement and meaning. They revealed layers within each person, showing emotions, memories, and deeper truths. They went far beyond the surface. It was like glimpsing the hidden structure of each soul's journey, and each one was unique. The more I worked in these sessions, the more I saw. But there was a lesson I had to learn. When working with the spirit realm, trust is essential. I found that I wasn't shown the full picture right away. At first, I would only see small glimpses of pieces, flashes of color or shapes that hinted at something larger. It wasn't until I fully committed to what I was seeing, trusting that this small glimpse held meaning, that the whole story would reveal itself. This way of seeing opened up a new path for me, something I came to call Spiritfractals. They felt like a bridge between the seen and unseen, a way to capture the depth and complexity of each person's essence. Spiritfractals are like fractals themselves, endlessly complex, with layers upon layers that the mind can't fully grasp, but the heart can feel. Each one becoming a mirror of the soul, a piece of art that reveals the vast, timeless journey each person is on. This work didn't come with a roadmap. It required trust at every turn. Each time I sat down to create a Spiritfractal, I would receive only a small glimpse, a hint of color or a shape that seemed to call for more attention. Each time I had to trust that if I committed to this tiny fragment, more would unfold. And sure enough, as soon as I leaned in, the fractal would come alive, filling with details and meaning that I couldn't have planned or predicted. Spiritfractals, I realized, weren't just pictures. They were stories of the soul's journey, a way to express the depth and beauty within each person. They invited me and anyone who saw them to look beyond the surface and connect with something timeless and true. Now, each Spiritfractal I create carries that sense of discovery, the trust that reveals a world far deeper than everyday lives suggest. Through these images, I hope to help others see their own vastness, to connect with the parts of themselves that were beyond the surface. And in that unfolding, I found my own purpose, to bring these Spiritfractals into the world as guides, each one a reminder of the depth that lies within us all, waiting to be seen. Closing that chapter of my life as a photographer after 40 years felt like stepping off a cliff blindfolded, with no idea what would catch me. The studio had been my world, my life. It was more than a job, it was an extension of who I was, a place where creativity, discipline, and craft all came together. Through the lens, I'd captured the essence of people's lives, moments, products, things that mattered. And yet, beneath it all, there was a whisper, one I had ignored for years, but could no longer push aside. That whisper became a full-blown call during a breathwork retreat. Breathwork of itself is intense, a simple act of breathing that feels more like plunging into an ocean. There's a surrender to it, a rawness, as if each breath strips away another layer until you're left standing in the core of who you are. And that's exactly what happened. Somewhere in the middle of that session, everything fell silent. I slipped into a vast, worldless space, almost like I'd been transported out of time. I felt as though I were hovering between worlds, caught in a stillness so profound, it held the weight of truth. And then, like flashes of light in the darkness, I saw them, the fractals, spirit fractals. They weren't just images or colors. They were alive, pulsing with an energy that felt like it was both beyond me and deeply part of me. It was as if spirit fractals had been waiting for me to notice them, to fully embrace them. Yet, I knew what they were. I had been avoiding them for the last 20 years, but they demanded my attention. And I knew in that moment that this was my path forward, that these shapes, colors, energies were somehow an offering I was meant to make to the world. Returning from that retreat, I wrestled with the decision. My photography studio was my livelihood, my legacy. Friends, clients, people I'd known for decades expected it to be there. Walking away would mean dismantling a life I'd built with my own hands. And yet every time I envisioned staying, keeping things as they were, I felt this profound heaviness, like a door was closing on my soul. The call for spirit fractals wouldn't let me go. I would sit in silence and they would fill my mind, emerging in intricate designs, vibrant colors, and symbols that felt almost like messages. I knew then that my photography had been a stepping stone, a way for me to explore the outer world until I was ready to dive into the inner one. But could I truly let it go? Then came the night I decided. I went to the studio alone, locked the door behind me, and let myself feel everything, the triumphs, the setbacks, the years of dedication. I ran my hand along the camera equipment, the prints on the wall, and the familiar spaces that had been part of me for so long. And finally, I felt that deep, heavy resistance slip away, like it was being lifted. In that space of release, I understood something vital. Spirit fractals were not just a new direction. They were a calling. They demanded I step forward, to be seen, to share something far more vulnerable than I'd ever shared with a camera. This was my purpose now, my gift. Closing the doors on the studio wasn't just an ending, it was a sacred ceremony, a moment of profound surrender to something much larger than myself. I took one last look around, and as I turned the key in the lock, I felt that wild mix of fear and exhilaration that comes when you know you're leaping into the unknown. Spirit fractals had shown me a path that wasn't about capturing outer beauty, but about revealing inner essence, something words could hardly describe, but that every fiber of my being knew was true. Now, each spirit fractal I create is born from that depth, from the courage to follow a calling without knowing where it will lead. This path asks my whole heart, my whole self, and it's a journey that's still unfolding. As I bring spirit fractals into the world, I realize that this isn't just a new chapter, it's the very soul of my life's work finally coming into view. As much as spirit fractals and master alignment have brought me into contact with profound realms, it's often the simplest, most unassuming moments that reveal the truest depth. There's a beauty and simplicity and ease that doesn't ask for anything extraordinary, but instead invites a quiet, grounded presence. Over time, I've realized that depth is not always found in grand insights or extraordinary revelations. Often, it resides in small acts, in the silent spaces, in the details that gently call us to be fully present. Take cooking, for instance. There's something almost sacred about preparing a meal. The rhythm of chopping, the scent of spices, and the way each ingredient contributes to the whole. All of it requires presence. When I'm fully absorbed in the process, cooking becomes more than a task. It becomes a meditation. I feel the textures, I notice the colors, and sense the interconnectedness of each step. There's a subtle depth in this, a reminder that creating something nourishing is as much an act of love as it is a necessity. The simplicity of it, the quiet focus, it has taught me that depth is not separate from the everyday. It's woven into it. Then there's the small tender details in my work, the finishing touches in a spirit fractal, or the careful phrasing of a word in a session with a client. These tiny acts often carry profound weight. It might seem trivial, but the patience to adjust the line, to select the right cue, or to listen intently without speaking, these are moments when I feel closest to something greater than myself. In these moments, I've learned that true depth doesn't always announce itself. It arrives softly, like a gentle breath, asking only that we pay attention. And perhaps one of the most profound lessons in simplicity has come through simply sitting with clients in silence. There are moments in a session when words fall away, when all that's left is an unspoken understanding. In those quiet pauses, depth emerges, not in the form of advice or revelation, but as a shared presence. Silence becomes a language, a way of saying, I'm here with you. We're both part of this greater whole. There's no need to fill the space, because in that stillness, everything essential is already present. These moments have shown me that sometimes depth is simply about being fully present with another human being, creating a space where healing can unfold naturally. These small, everyday moments remind me that true depth is often found not in the extraordinary, but in our willingness to be fully alive in each moment. There's a richness in the simplicity of just being. No grand gestures, no striving, just a gentle, grounded presence that feels like coming home. It's in these moments that I see how the work I do, whether creating spirit fractals or guiding clients, is a reflection of life itself. Layered, intricate, and yet beautifully simple at its core. In the end, I've come to understand that depth is not something to be chased or attained. It's something to be uncovered in the here and now. It's found in the way we approach life, with reverence, in the quiet acceptance of each moment as it is. The beauty of simplicity is that it brings us back to our essence, to a place where depth is not separate from daily life, but is woven into every breath, every thought, and every interaction. And this to me is where the real magic lies, in the quiet, unassuming spaces where spirit meets the heart, and where we find we are already whole. Creating a spirit fractal is an experience unlike any other. It's a blend of meditation, prayer, and deep listening. I don't approach it with a blueprint or a plan. Instead, it's an act of surrender. It's a willingness to open myself up fully to what might emerge. Before I begin, I enter a quiet, meditative state, letting go of thoughts, expectations, and even my own desires for how the piece should look. It's as if I'm preparing a sacred space, clearing away the noise of daily life to make room for something much larger than myself. In these moments, I often feel a gentle guiding presence, like a quiet nudge from something beyond. I work with higher vibrational guides, those energies that exist on a frequency beyond ordinary perception, a resonance I can feel more than see. These guides aren't just helpers, they're co-creators in the truest sense. I often experience them as currents of energy, subtle yet powerful, guiding my hands and my choices, influencing colors, shapes, and patterns in ways that I don't fully understand at first. As I begin the initial strokes or forms, the fractal takes on a life of its own. It's almost as if the spirit fractal is emerging from somewhere beyond me, like it has its own essence, its own story to tell. I find myself in a delicate dance with this energy, part intention, part surrender, allowing the piece to unfold as it wants to. Each line, each color, and each layer is guided not by my conscious mind, but by the intuitive flow, a gentle, insistent pull that brings the design to life. What often surprises me is how each spirit fractal reveals layers upon layers of meaning. As I work, I begin to see symbols, patterns, and even entire landscapes that I hadn't planned or anticipated. It feels as though the spirit fractal is revealing a hidden wisdom, a truth that's beyond my understanding, yet resonates deeply within me. These layers speak to different aspects of the soul's journey, past experiences, hidden wounds, gifts waiting to be realized, or even the essence of a person's true purpose. In these moments, I realize that I'm a participant in something much larger, a process of co-creation with the divine. The spirit fractal is not just an artwork, it's a message, it's a reflection of something far greater than myself. And while I might be the one creating it, I'm also a student of its wisdom, often learning just as much from the piece as the person it's intended for. This process has taught me that depth is an ongoing revelation. Each piece is a journey inward, a descent into layers that the mind can't access alone. It's as though each spirit fractal is a doorway to deeper spiritual truths, truths that reveal themselves over time. And just as the fractal unfolds in layers, so too does my understanding of what it means to be part of the divine tapestry. Every time I sit down to create, I'm reminded that spiritual depth is not a destination, but a process, a continuous unveiling. Each spirit fractal I create takes me deeper, revealing more and more about the universe, about humanity, and about the interconnectedness of all things. The process is humbling. It's a reminder that I am only one thread in this vast, intricate web of life. The fractals themselves echo this, with each line and curve spiraling into infinity, reflecting the boundless nature of the divine. And so each spirit fractal becomes a meditation on depth itself. It asks to be felt, not just seen. It invites the viewer to step beyond the mind's limits and to experience the soul's language, a language that is vast, layered, and profound. In each piece, there's a reminder that true depth is found not in the outer world, but in the heart's silent knowing, in the spaces between thought, where spirit speaks in colors, shapes, and patterns that defy words. In this co-creative dance with spirit, I've come to see that spiritual depth is a path that never ends. Each spirit fractal reveals a new dimension, a new insight, a fresh layer of truth. And with each piece, I'm reminded that this journey of depth is one of continuous unfolding, a testament to the endless layers of wisdom and love that lie within all of us, waiting to be revealed through the heart's intuitive gaze. To help you explore this depth within yourself, I'd like to share 3 exercises that deeply impacted my journey. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably, free from any distractions. Place one hand gently over your heart. Close your eyes, feeling each beat and the pauses in between. Imagine your heartbeat extending beyond you, connecting with the heartbeats of others, family, friends, even strangers. See all hearts beating in unison, creating a rhythm that echoes across the universe. By tuning into the universal rhythm of the heartbeat, you reinforce that we're all part of one collective whole, sharing the same life force. Now sit or lie down comfortably, eyes closed. Picture the vast expanse of the universe, stars, galaxies, everything cosmic. Slowly bring this vast universe into your heart or entire being. Sense that every part of the universe exists within you, and you within it. Meditate on the idea of no separation between you and the cosmos. You are one. This meditation helps you feel that you are part of the universe, deepening your awareness by dissolving the imagined boundaries between yourself and the cosmos. At the end of the day, choose an interaction from that day. In your journal, recount the event from the other person's view, their feelings, motivations, and thoughts. Write from the viewpoint of an impartial observer, or even from the universe, observing how all actions are connected. Reflect on the insights. Note any new understandings or feelings that come up. This practice will cultivate empathy and a sense of interconnectedness by stepping outside your own perspective. You reinforce that we're all connected through shared experiences and emotions, deepening your sense of spiritual depth. Depth, I've discovered, is often found in life's simple, everyday acts. Take cooking, for instance. When I prepare a meal, there's a rhythm to it. The sound of chopping, the fragrance of ingredients, and the alchemy of combining each element into something nourishing. It's a grounding process, almost like a meditative focus that turns cooking into an act of love, connecting me to those I'm cooking for. I'm reminded that depth isn't something separate. It's woven into every small act, every simple gesture. In my work too, each detail matters. The careful adjustments to a spirit fractal, or the pauses during a session with clients, these tiny acts may seem small, but they hold meaning. Each line, each color, each moment of listening draws me closer to the depth I hope to express, reminding me that depth often arrives softly like a whisper. Through all these moments, I've learned that depth isn't in the extraordinary, but in our willingness to be alive and aware in each moment. There's a richness in the simplicity of just being. No grand gestures, just a gentle presence that feels like home. This depth isn't something we chase. It's uncovered in our approach to life, in reverence and in gratitude, in the quiet acceptance of each moment. This is where the true magic lies, in those quiet spaces where spirit meets the heart, and we see ourselves as part of an infinite whole. Every spirit fractal I create reflects this truth. Spiritual depth isn't a destination, but an invitation to experience our unity. This journey into depth is a continual unveiling. It's a path into quiet truths within and into boundless love that unites us. Embracing spiritual depth means embracing the oneness that connects us all. It's seeing that each action, thought, and movement is tied to the vast universe. When we realize we are one, we live with greater compassion and love for ourselves and others. This unity is the essence of spiritual depth, a truth that enriches every part of our lives. I invite you to join me in this journey of depth. Try these exercises, embrace the small moments, and open to the profound connections waiting within. At the end of the video, I'll display the Spirit Fractal on depth. Allow yourself to immerse within it, keeping an open mind and open heart. Let's uncover the unity that binds us and let it illuminate our lives. Join me in the next video in the Wheel of Wisdom series on abundance. Thank you.